Gaurav for that. I think you really set the context, and gosh, I'm supposed to talk about AI in finance. I mean, some people say they'd rather watch paint dry. That would be a better use of their time, maybe. But I'll try not to be boring and, as much as I possibly can, and I hope after the end of the next 20 minutes or so, you're still awake for the rest of the sessions. So, my name is Aneesh, and I work with a company called SAP. I'm hoping most of you would have heard of SAP. And within SAP, I'm part of what we internally call the spend management group, which helps or works with customers to sort of end-to-end manage their direct, indirect spend. And within that spend management group, I lead a small line of business called Concur, which helps customers manage their travel and expenses. So I know there's a couple of Concur users in the room, but for those who do not use Concur, I thought that will be a good introduction. I've tried to make this generic. Obviously, Concur uses a lot of data and a lot of AI. So there's a whole bunch of things that we're doing in AI. So my perspective is a little bit biased from that perspective. But what I'll try to do is make it a little generic so that you can take something back for your particular organization. But I would try and give some examples from what we are doing about AI in that regard. So what I wanted to start with is, we did a survey recently with a lot of CFOs, and I thought to set the context, I'll share some data and insights from this particular survey. So I'm guessing most of you would agree with the fact that forecasting is a growing headache for most people, right? Can I show of hands anyone who disagrees with this? Okay, there's one who disagrees. Very good. Okay. So you're probably part of that 40%, but okay, largely, most of the people here do actually agree with it, right? Okay. So I wonder what it would have been if I would have asked how many of you agree with this. Would have the same number of hands gone up? How many of you agree with this? Okay, fair enough. Okay, 60%. Good. So yeah, this has gone up, of course, and the biggest contributor to the forecasting problem is one, inaccurate forecasting. You can, there's a joke going around about AI that I asked AI, what's the next month sales forecast going to be, and it actually replied saying, ask the sales leader. So, but inaccurate forecasting is obviously a big challenge. The other area that we find problems in is unpredictable material and labor cost. The other thing that came out very prominently in the survey was that cost continues to remain a focus. India has always been a cost-focused market, but now more than ever, I think everything is being looked at through a microscope, right? So what's happened is that especially, software especially, that's an industry I come from, people are looking at, okay, what are we using, what are we not using, can we get rid of this, can we not get rid of this, what is the ROI for each and everything that we are buying, and CFOs are constantly under pressure to either justify or get rid of stuff that they're not using, get rid of the shelfware. And one area, or rather two areas where, which come across very prominently is one is the lack of integration. Data is not flowing into the software from all different sources, and the other is lack of visibility. This has reduced significantly over the years, but it still continues to be a very big problem. Now, in terms of AI, before I jump on to the next question, I actually wanted to ask in the room, how many of you are actually looking at deploying AI within your organization or have already deployed something related to AI? Okay, that's good. And how many of you actually fully understand AI? Okay, that's not surprising at all. And you're in good company. And the global survey says that 51% of the people have actually either deployed or are planning to deploy AI in some shape or form. But 58% of those people don't even understand what they're doing. In fact, the numbers share that only 4% of people who were surveyed actually had a very clear vision on what they want to deploy, how they want to deploy, and where they are going, and what tools are they going to use. So the thought was that we'll set up a little bit of a baseline and start at a base level to make sure that everyone's on the same page. So I thought maybe we could start by defining what AI is and where we are. So AI is a very broader term, artificial intelligence, and I'm sure you would have heard a lot of you would have heard a lot of terms like machine learning, deep learning, chat GPT, there's large language models, etc. So there's a long list of these, and it's all sort of jargon. But broadly, what it is that all of these constitute what we would call artificial intelligence, and within artificial intelligence, the more complex you get, the deeper you get. So if you're using something like a machine learning, that's a much simpler way, takes less data, less training to the model. But if you go all the way up to deep learning that's using neural networks, the simplest way to look at it is the more data and training that the models need, the much deeper you go and much specified the use cases become. So when Benjamin Franklin discovered electricity with his kite experiment, nobody actually knew what electricity can do. So not until 100, 150 years later, when Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, that is when people actually realized that, okay, there was electricity and there is a light bulb. Till the time that concept did not turn into a light bulb, it was all abstract, right? So I think AI at this point of time is something like that. Till the time we don't define use cases, people say, yes, AI is something abstract, I don't understand AI. But think of it in the form of use cases. When you start looking at use cases, if I'm looking at a pump, for example, or the video camera or the microphone, these are all powered by electricity. So electricity on its own is still an abstract concept, but we understand it because we know that we use it for all of these things. So AI is something similar to that right now. So there is, of course, these many AI tools available, but the fact that once it translates into use cases, is when you actually start, thinking of it, okay, AI can do this for me, AI can do that for me. So what I wanted to do was give you a view of what people are using AI for, right? So broadly, and I talk to a lot of CFOs. I'm not a CFO myself, but I talk to a lot of CFOs. And broadly, if I was to, summarize all my interactions, there are 4 key areas where I think that CFOs talk to me about their official, what they're doing at work. And I think Mr. Jain touched upon it a little bit around data insights, risk, etc. But broadly, they want to talk about spend governance or want to talk about controls and compliance. And these 2 are the major ones where CFOs usually focus, but there are others who would also talk about employee experience and also talk about how we can expand and optimize. Those are the ones who are on their way from CFO to CEO. Those are the ones, it's a little broader. But those are broadly the 4 areas, and I'd like you to take a moment to think about within these 4 lenses as to where you think what is important, and there's no wrong answer. So depending on where you are in your journey with your organization, you might find spend governance more important today, and you might be looking at, how much do I spend, where do I spend, and once you evolve from that, you might be looking at, okay, what data can I give to my auditor, and they're looking at compliance, and is there fraud happening in the organization, is it scalable or not? So depending on where you are, you might be thinking of employee experience and say that, can I do something to improve my processes, which would ensure that my employees take less time to complete a task and I can give them more strategic work, take the mundane out of there so we can have them focus more on value-add activities. So take a moment to think about those. What I also wanted to sort of touch upon a little bit was show you practical use cases on where organizations are actually using AI. So here's some of the cases, whether it's something as simple as using an OCR technology to capture a receipt at the point of sale so that is going into the system directly, to something as complex as using data to monitor fraud. Understand that if employees are spending millions of dollars on T&E each year, how much of that is actually genuine, right? So it could be easy, it could be complex, but the general idea is people are looking at not just taking the mundane out of the finance processes, but also looking at uncovering more possibilities with the data, what you can do and make AI as a strategic advantage for you. So I wanted to, sort of a little bit, give you a little bit of what Concur is doing on AI, because of course that's my product. So T&E, of course, in the middle you see, there's of course the T&E life cycle and what you're doing on expensive. The blue stuff that's coming up and down, that's actually stuff that we've done in terms of AI to sort of simplify processes, right? What we don't want is an employee spending, coming from a business trip with a pile of receipts and then suddenly, going ahead and spending one whole Saturday or a Friday to sort of put all of that together and then submit, and then it goes through a long process. So I've seen a lot of customers come to us and talk about, archaic processes. In fact, recently a customer told us that their time to pay employees is 60 days. Right? So once the employee submits the expense receipts, and there was a joke in their organization that the employees used to say that, you know what, I'm maybe giving them working capital. So the new CEO of that organization actually heard this and said, itne se paise ke liye itni badi बेइज्जती, I don't want this. He calls in the chief digital officer, tells him that, you know what, I want this to be paid within 48 hours. I don't care how you do it. Fast forward 2 years, they're actually in a position where they have a 48-hour turnaround, and they've moved to a point where 24 hours, if the employees are not paid, employees actually start calling up and saying, hey, mera paisa nahi aaya, abhi kya ho gaya, right? They've actually moved to that. And this is not even like a high-tech company, this is a company, Indian company in the cement space, right? How did they do it? They moved to a more automated system, and they have a very strong audit process at the back end, which actually makes sure that any employee who's got siphoning off funds or committing a fraud, no tolerance, fire them, create a compliance culture. It's a case study in itself, but I thought I'd mention, because what they were able to very rightly do was look at their entire process and see how we can actually go ahead and automate some of that and make it easier for the employees, right? So coming back out of Concur, I think the 3 key areas that, and you can call it the RRR. I hate that analogy generally, but some of the people have said this. The RRR is, I think, what we need to do when you're looking at making your AI investment. Here's a tip. So three R's that you should focus on. One is that the AI that you're focusing on should be relevant. Whether it's a DALL-E or a Chat GPT, each of them have their own benefits. Depending on what your need is, you could use any of the many AI solutions, but make sure that it is relevant to you. Also, the AI needs to be trained on reliable data that you need to work on, and that reliability would come on a personalized trained model. So there's no one size fits all. You need to make sure of the reliability. And the third and most important is responsibility, right? We're no longer, the IT Act is coming soon. We're all impacted by GDPR in some shape or form. So how we're using AI in a reliable manner is also very important. So what's next? Obviously, I'll make a sort of bold statement. What you see, like obviously AI is a big thing right now, but what you're seeing right now in terms of AI is the worst AI that you will ever see, right? AI is on a growing trajectory. So whatever you're experiencing now would have completely changed tomorrow and would have absolutely changed 10 days from now and 10 years from now. So it is the worst. We're at the ground floor of AI revolution right now, and 10 years from now, AI would be completely different. So absolutely the worst AI right now, and that should say something about how much AI is going to grow over a period of time. Towards the end, I wanted to give you a little bit of a flavor on what Concur is doing, and I wanted to play a short video so it gives you an idea of the direction that we are taking. So that's all I had, and if anyone wants to download the survey that I was referring to, it's available here. You can all scan this and save this, and it's available free of charge. So if there are no questions, then I'll maybe, any questions? All right, thank you very much. You've been a great audience.